Hi, I'm Robert, and today I'm going to show you how I edit this image of Laguna Beach. We're going to go from here to here. This is the photo shoot that started my obsession with Seascape photography. I shot this in 2012. About 4 years earlier, I purchased the Canon 40D. I was using it about once a month, but I wasn't getting any better. So I decided 2012 was going to be the year that I improved. My New Year's resolution was to go to the beach every week and shoot seascapes. For the next 2 years, I only missed about 2 or 3 weeks. In the following 5 years after that, I continued going nearly every week. On this channel, I'm going to share with you all the information that I've learned over these hundreds of seascape photo shoots. Let's start editing this one. It's not a great photo. It was one of my very first photos that I've taken at the beach with my Canon 40D. I had a Tokina 11-16 f2.8, and I was using a graduated ND filter, 3-stop soft edge, and I was always on a tripod. When editing, I usually start at the bottom and work my way up. Calibration, I just leave at the current version. On Seascape photographies, I almost never put a vignette, so I leave this vignette set to 0. We need to make sure the image is level. We'll click constrain crop, and let's double check. It already looks perfectly straight using the grid lines. I'm pretty surprised how close it is. The Canon 40D, I don't think it had a leveler built in, so I just had to eyeball it. We'll go up, we'll apply corrections. We'll remove some of the barrel distortion and some of the vignetting in the corners. For sharpening, I like to take it all the way up to 100. And then I apply a mask. Hold down Alt, and we can see where we're going to be sharpening. All of the white areas are going to be sharpened. We don't need to sharpen too much of the sky, so we'll just drag the mask up till somewhere around here. So now we're only going to be applying the mask down here and not so much sharpening the sky. Split toning I don't do very often, so we'll skip that. And the HSL panel is my finishing panel. So we go up here. The exposure doesn't need to be adjusted. You can see we're all the way to the left and all the way to the right on the histogram. We have nowhere else to really go. Contrast, sometimes I add a little bit, sometimes I just leave it at 0. We can also use the white and black slider to also add some contrast. Even though I used a 3-stop soft edge graduated ND filter, I'm still going to bring the highlights all the way down, or close to it. Right about here, looks pretty natural. If we go too far, you can see here in the sun, it starts looking a little fake. So we're around 70. We'll bring the shadows up a little bit. There's a lot of darkness and contrast down here in the rocks. We don't want to bring it up too high so it looks unnatural. 30 looks good. We brought up a little bit in exposure here in the middle, but we still kept a nice amount of contrast in these dark areas that were backlit. So we'll bring the white point up a little bit. You can see up here in the histogram we're not all the way to the right, so we'll bring the whites up a little bit. Now we're clipping at 20, so we'll back it down to 15. We don't need to adjust the black point because you can see up here in the histogram we're all the way to the left, so the black point's already set. Texture, clarity, dehaze. Usually I don't touch these. We already set quite a bit of sharpening, so we don't need to add any more clarity. Clarity I think adds a weird unnatural look, especially if you go too high. It just looks overly sharpened like this. So now we have the general image set, so let's adjust the colors a little bit. I like these warmer colors, but let's bring it down a little bit to see. I think we'll just leave it how it was set, right at 5,000. I think I must have had the white balance set just to daylight. So I always like to start off with luminance, and then I'll go to saturation, and if I have to I'll touch hue, but usually I don't. So luminance adjusts how bright or how dark a particular color is, which will give it, if you make it darker, it's going to add more vibrance or saturation to that color. So you can see we can bring down the reds. We can bring them all the way down so you can see where the reds are. You can double click on red to reset it back to 0. We'll just bring it down slightly. When I'm doing luminance, I don't like to do more than about -15. Let's add a little into the, see where the oranges are at. We can go 10 there. The other colors I'm looking up here are purple and magenta. So let's see if we can add a little bit there. Not really. I'm liking how this guy's looking. We can also add a graduated filter. Hold down Shift to make your horizon straight. You can press O to see the mask. It's going to show you where our changes are going to be applied. So it's mostly going to be applied up here, and then it fades out down below the middle line. We can add a little bit of just overall saturation. To brighten up the sky. Or not so much brighten it up, but add some more saturation in. Let's click on spot removal and see if we have any dust. We can click on visualize spots down here. And you can adjust the slider. This here might be dust. Let's take a look. Looks like there's a small bout of dust here. Click. Just drag somewhere close by. There you go. My sensor must have been pretty clean at this point. We might take care of this sun flare, also using the spot removal tool, but we'll do that a little bit later. I think I like how the image looks from here. Now we can just finish up some of the smaller details. Let's remove this flare here using the spot removal tool. We'll just brush over it. Choose somewhere nearby, press enter. Let's see how that looks. There you go, looks pretty good. Got rid of that. This one's going to be kind of hard to take care of, so I might just leave it, and maybe I'll remove this one. Not bad. Pretty clean. And you can still see a little outline of it, but it's okay. The Tokina would flare a lot when I was using the graduated ND filter and shooting into the sun. Pretty much all of my shots are straight into the sun because you get the most amount of color when the sun's setting there. So this looks pretty good. It's not the best image. We don't really have a whole lot of composition going on. We have the horizon in the middle, which I usually don't do anymore. I'll use a rule of thirds. We don't really have any leading lines. We have a little bit coming through here, and these are kind of pointing out. I think I just got lucky there. I really didn't know what I was doing when I was shooting this image. This was my first Seascape for my 2012 New Year's resolution challenge to improve my skills. So you'll see as time progresses, my images will improve. But this was what I started working with. It was super low tide here at Pearl Street Beach and Laguna Beach. I didn't realize how rare these conditions were and how low this tide was. I was able to walk around the arch here at Pearl Street, which I've never been able to do since. This was a super negative low tide. So always check the tide report before you go out. You need to know if it's going to be high or if it's going to be low. It's going to affect where you're shooting. If it's low, you might want to go to tide pools. If it's high, you might want to go somewhere where the water's going to be washing up the beach. So it's good information to have before you head out. So I'll be sharing more tips like that throughout this video series. If you like that, please like and subscribe.